Le Nissan Kick-Play 2025 a beaucoup de plus. Apple CarPlay intégré pour jouer vos tunes préférées, des fonctions avancées de sécurité, un rendement énergétique remarquable, puis même la petite odeur de char neuf qu'on aime tant. Tout ça en plus pour moins. Le Nissan Kick Play 2025 est le véhicule neuf le plus abordable au Québec. Achetez-le à partir de seulement 22 774 $, incluant un rabais à l'achat comptant de 2 600 $. Profitez de cette offre avantageuse chez votre concessionnaire dès maintenant. Jusqu'au 2 mars, des conditions s'appliquent. Détails chez Nissan.
We're keeping things rolling right here on the Elias Macko Show. Let's talk about finances here and talk about preparing the next generation with a brighter financial future. As we start off the school year, a sense of excitement and new beginnings that many students and children are currently experiencing. But with this comes the financial strain that many parents face. Rising costs mean difficult decisions need to be made. Some experts suggest that such decisions should involve all family members, including children. Elke Rubach is the founder and principal of Rubach Wealth, joins us on the line. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Okay, so give it to me straight here. A 5-year-old doesn't know anything about compound interest. How can they be involved in financial decisions?
Well, first of all, they know more than we give them credit.
Yeah, good. Very good point.
But yes, so... And I'm a big believer that you don't want to plant in their heads the scarcity mentality. But realism is a wonderful medicine for everyone. Now, our generations are stuck between two very different schools of thought. The money doesn't grow on trees. My job is to go to work, bring enough food to the table, send you to school, and that's what you get. Mm-hmm. You wait for, Christmas or whatever you celebrate for your next bicycle. And then this generation that is a lot more affluent has been, showering kids with gifts because we can, right? In a way, to a different level, but there's more available in general. Obviously not across Canada the same way, to different degrees, but in general there's more available. Things have become in a way cheaper or more accessible, or the variety is there. But what continues is a lack of financial literacy across generations, mm-hmm. and the comfort in talking about money and finances. And that's a big mission I have, to normalize talking about money, because not talking about it is not going to make the problems go away. It's not going to prepare the next generation for proper stewardship of wealth at whatever level it is. And when people don't know how to face a situation, call it recession, call it New Year, they make financial decisions with the best intentions, but possibly not with enough information.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And let me tell you one thing. Whenever the discussion on this program goes to what should we be teaching children that we don't currently teach them, number one answer from our listeners is always financial literacy. So I think a lot of people know that, that this is something that they should know about, but for some reason we don't make it a priority. So how do we fix that?
Well, it's kind of hard as a parent to tell your kids that you don't know, because you know that your kid is looking up to you for answers. But in another exercise of humility and reality, if you don't know, find out. Crank up the Google engine, and there are resources there. And the government of Canada has resources, and the financial institutions have resources, and educate and learn. And you didn't get to this level of ignorance overnight. You're not going to get out of it overnight. So start slow, understand how you spend, etc. So in terms of teaching your kids, you start by knowing yourself. Understand how much money you make, how you spend it, and within your spending, is everything necessary? Mm-hmm. And on the unnecessary things, do they bring you happiness, and enough happiness that it's worth sacrificing future purchases for the current gratification of buying those things? And that's a very personal question.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is If you have kids, I have 3. I can guarantee you that if I treat all 3 equal and give them the same speech, they're going to hear something completely different. My 3 kids are very different. One is beyond responsible financially. The middle one can't have $1 in his hand because he will go to some unknown person and try to offer to buy his chocolate because he's very generous, but borderline irresponsible. And my little one is just kind of like trying to figure herself out in the middle.
I love that. I love how you put that. We're with Elke Rubach, founder and principal of Rubach Wealth. We're talking about family financial literacy. So I wonder if you see this, because I have friends, and based on how they grew up, right? They grew up and perhaps in their family, their parents, the income was not always, it was not always the same. Maybe they were freelancers, or maybe they were in a field where sometimes you had money and sometimes you didn't. And it affects them to this day on how they deal with money. When you look at clients, when people come to you for help, do you see that? Do you see like things that happened to them 20, 30 years ago still affects them today if they didn't get that knowledge earlier in life?
150 trillion%. Pardon my math.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's where I want to, reassure people that rules of thumb don't work. There's a general concept of what can be done, which is, would be financially independent, make sure you don't outlive your savings, ideally keep harmony in the family, and that goes at any level of wealth. But times are changing quickly. Like when I was little, there was no social media, so that access to information wasn't there. And information is wonderful, but there's also a lot of really bad noise. So how do you block it? And unless you sit down with yourself and potentially a therapist or a coach and figure out your money messages that you were given and really question which of those remain valuable and important to you, and with your spouse, if you have children, which ones you want to transfer to the kids. And even if you're divorced, you need to understand how you're going to teach your kids. You're trying to implement someone else's theory that might not apply to your family. So there's a need to literally sit down and say, okay, am I living my values, and does money represent who I am?
Can I ask you on what you just said about what children and teenagers are seeing on social media when it comes to finances? Do you have an example of something that teenagers are seeing on social media that just warps their whole perspective on finances and can actually hurt what you're trying to do?
Every single day, every other post.
Like?
The keeping up with the Joneses, the Kardashians, the $2,000 shoes, the brands, there's always going to be someone richer than you. There's always going to be someone smarter than you. But fortunately, there's always someone that you can help. So again, you need to look at it yourself and talk to kids and say, guys, this is not real life. This is a curated social media life, and it's not just financially impacting people. It's worse. It's psychologically impacting people. And then you have kids who are used to a certain lifestyle, but then the parents go through financial distress because it happens. And the kids, I was watching on Instagram the other day, I guess I was bored, this girl who was probably 18, and Dr. Phil was telling her, you need a job. And she goes, I can't work. None of my friends work. And that's no, she should be able to pay me $2,000. What is this?
You just imagine, you wonder how families have to deal with it, where, they get the one family vacation a year, and the kids are like, well, how come these people are on vacation all the time? It's a permanent vacation when I look at my social media. Must be tough. We have to leave it there, but I want to thank you for starting up this conversation with us this morning. I appreciate it.
Anytime, and please, the best gift you can give your kids is talk about money, and if you don't know, reach out, because it's really important.
Elke Rubach is founder and principal of Rubach Wealth.